Hmm. Welcome, welcome, welcome in. Welcome in. I'm going to get started in just a couple of minutes. Give people time to join. I need to mute that. Okay, good. Gretchen, can you hear me okay? Can you maybe put something in the Q&A if you can? I tried to set up the chat so that would work, but I don't think that that is working. Are you able to chat? Let's see. Testing of the chat. Test that. Hey, Darrell. Thanks for joining. If you guys can hear me okay, and if you can put something in the chat, that would be great. Okay, looks like okay, good, Gretchen. Thank you. You put it in the Q&A. Do you guys have access to the chat? Because I tried to fix that this time to make sure you have access to the chat. Oh, it says disable. Okay. I don't know why it says that. I don't know why the chat is disabled, but I can chat. So I just put a test chat in the box on Zoom. And can you guys see the test chat that I put in there? Okay. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let me get rid of these. And we are going to get right into it. I'm going to share my slides. And hopefully on YouTube, they can hear me too. I pressed mute on my YouTube because I was getting feedback. All right. Let me slide. Interview. Okay, now here. And if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box and I will get to them. Okay. I'm about to share my slides and I want to make sure that you all on the Zoom can see the slides. I know that on YouTube there is a little delay. Okay, where did my Zoom box go? That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. You guys can't see the slides anymore, can you? Okay, let me try this again. There we go. Okay, good. Now share. Okay, for some reason I can't see what you guys are putting in the Q&A, but I can see the slides. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Tyler, can you unmute yourself? Are you able to do that? Okay, that's fine if you can't, because for some reason I can't see what's going on in the Zoom, but I can see my slides. All right, so thank you guys for showing up. I really appreciate it. I can't see who's all in here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm Katrina, and like I said, if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box if you're on Zoom. And if you're on YouTube, just go ahead and type it in. And as I break between the slides, I will get to your questions and answers. Excuse me, I am getting over a little cold, so I've got my cough drop sitting here. So you guys have been to those webinars where if the whole thing is a sales pitch. This one is not. I promise you it's not. So it's not going to be awkward for you or for me because my only call to action is going to be if any of this resonates with you, book a call with me. That's it. I'm just going to ask you to book a call with me. So we can both relax here. So before we get into everything, let's see, what is co-living? Let me start there. What is co-living? So some people call what co-living is, which is what I do, they call that a group home. And then other people think of a group home as something that's for children, like for foster care and things like that. But what I'm talking about today is going to be independent housing for adults. So it's going to be adults who are living under one roof, but they're renting out either a bed within that room or they're renting out the entire room. So think of a residential neighborhood, a regular house, maybe it's a 4-bedroom house, and each one of the rooms is rented out to somebody different. Or there's 2 people sharing a bedroom. So it's renting by the room or by the bed. And it's also usually all inclusive. So utilities are included. That means the gas, the internet, everything is electricity, everything is paid for with their one-time rent each month. So for example, if you have a 4-bedroom house and you rent out each of the rooms, 2 people per room, so you have 8 beds in that house. And then let's say you charge each person $600 a month, includes all utilities. Then you do that math and you'll see that when you're renting out a house by the room or by the bed, you make a lot more money versus renting out a place that's just a single family home. So that's my explanation of what is co-living first before we get into the 10xing your rental income. So another question I usually get is what is the difference between co-living and group homes and assisted living? When you're talking about assisted living, you are providing services. So you're providing help with activities of daily living. So I've gone through the training to become a certified assisted living manager for the state of Texas. And I don't use that certification because I do independent housing. But during that training, I learned about ADLs. ADLs, you'll hear a lot of that in this area, is activities of daily living. That is toileting, bathing, feeding, medication management. If you're doing any of those things, if you're providing meals, you're helping people use the bathroom and all that, that requires a license. That is assisted living. That's licensed assisted living. And when you have an assisted living facility, you get inspected. You get inspected by the state, and there are announced inspections and there are unannounced inspections. And then you also need to have caregivers on staff. You have to have a cook on staff and, provide people with their management of their medication. So maybe a nurse on staff. So it's a little bit more overhead when you have assisted living, but you can make a lot more money with assisted living. That is not what I'm going to talk about today. What I'm talking about today is independent housing. So basically just being a landlord, except that instead of renting out the entire house, you're going to rent out the house by the room. So I cannot see if there are any questions yet, but I'm going to take a break and see if there's questions after I get through the next slide. And if there are any questions on YouTube, just go ahead and pop them in the chat. Okay, so, another question before I move on that I usually get is people want to know, what if you have somebody who wants to live at your place that needs help with their activities of daily living, with their ADLs? I can still house that person. It's just that the help does not come from my company. That help is outsourced. So a third party provides that help. That's where home health companies come in. You've heard of these home health companies where they have somebody that comes over to the house and just helps the person, like gives them a bath or something like that. That can be done and that can be arranged. It's just not under my company. And so I'm not the one being inspected. All I'm providing is the housing. And also, sometimes people get what's called provider hours. So let's say somebody gets discharged from the hospital and they need a little bit of help. Their insurance might give them provider hours, which means that they have a certain amount of hours that can be paid to somebody. And sometimes it's like a family member of theirs or a friend of theirs. And that person comes over to help them for a few hours a day. Again, that's not under my business. That's that person who has the provider hours and gets that person to come over and help them with their activities of daily living. So with co-living, like I said, you earn 10 times the amount of a regular rental. Assisted living, you earn a lot more. But what I'm going to talk about today is just the independent co-living. And what I'm going to cover today is the opportunity and the growth, and then the profit potential. And then also how you open a group home in 6 steps, and then how you open a group home in 6 weeks. And that's where my coaching program comes in. And then I'll do the Q&A at the end. All right, let's move on. Okay, so for this slide, I am going to read some stats to you. This is basically talking about the why co-living is going to just grow. It's a business is not going to go anywhere. It's going to grow. The aging baby boomer population, the first bullet there, 10,000 baby boomers are going to turn 65 every day. So that's a trend that's going to continue all the way through 2030. That means 1 in 5 Americans are going to be 65 or older by 2030. Now, many of those people are going to need that assisted living, what I was talking about earlier. They're going to need that supportive housing, but not all of them are going to need supportive housing. Not all of them are going to need that full-scale assisted living. And not everybody is going to be able to afford that assisted living either, because assisted living sometimes is $5,000 per month per bed. And that might be in a shared room, depending on where they are in the country. And that's where my company and your future company comes in, when you have these independent housing where you're charging much less, but they have their own caretaker that comes in and out of the house, or they don't need any help at all. And maybe they just need that companionship of being with other people. Let's go to the next one. So the housing affordability crisis. So we all know housing is so expensive. It's ridiculous, especially in California. I live in California, and all 3 of my houses are in San Antonio, Texas. And it's because of the cost of housing. Housing is just too expensive here in California. But anyway, when houses and rents are just going up and up. So a lot of people who would like to have their own place can't necessarily afford their own place. So sometimes the shared housing model is really the only affordable option for a lot of low income adults, even working professionals. Some of them are in this type of housing. I've got some people in my group homes who are not homeless people. They're working adults. They just can't afford their own place. Here's another stat for you. So 55% of low income renters spend more than 30% of their income on housing. That's crazy. They're spending most of their check on their housing. So shared housing, like what I provide and what you provide, isn't just about making more money. It's also solving this housing problem. It's solving the affordable housing crisis. And cities need this model. A lot of people don't want to live in these big buildings that are institutional in their affordable housing. They just want to live in a regular house, but maybe they can't afford that house. They can just afford a room in the house, and that's fine. All right, number 3, the decline in private room supply. So new construction, it favors the big, large single family homes or like luxury. It doesn't really favor this affordable shared housing model. So as the private housing costs rise, room rentals and co-living solutions, they're going to be the more scalable option for people. And landlords can really pivot and benefit big from pivoting to this. Some of my coaching clients are single family housing landlords, but they want to maximize their profit. So they're kind of turning to this model now and renting out the house by the room. All right, social isolation. Isolation. I already talked about this. So some people just need to live with other people because they need that camaraderie, they need that companionship, and then also mental health. Adults with mental health challenges or disabilities, or maybe even substance recovery needs, they often thrive in these shared environments because it's more structure and you kind of like are forced to socialize with people. Sometimes people who have these issues get in their head and they don't need to be all by themselves in their own apartment or in their own house. And so they do better in a shared housing type of co-living environment. So these group homes give them this community, not just this roof over their head. All right, I'm going to take a little pause because I want to make sure that everybody is still tracking and everybody can still hear me. So let me take a look at the chat real quick. Okay, looks like there's no open questions. All right, cool. Let's get back to this. All right, now let's get into the profit potential. Okay, so on the left, we have the single family rental. That's the typical single family home. I've had a house just like this. It was a 4-bedroom house. And that 4-bedroom house, I rented it out to a family for $2,000 a month. Now, my mortgage on that house was $1,800 a month. So, what was my income? 200, right? Because I was charging the family $2,000 a month. My mortgage was $1,800 a month. So, my profit was $200 a month. Now that is nothing to sneeze at because in the real estate market, that's great ROI. That is great return on investment to make $200 a month off of a property. That is typical, and that's actually really good income. But I want to compare that to a co-living rental. So remember, I said it was a 4-bedroom. So if you have a 4-bedroom house and you put 2 beds in each room, that gives you 8 beds in that house. 8 beds, okay? Let's say you're charging $500 a month. You're charging $500 a month for that bed. So now what is your income? If you've got 8 beds times $500 a month, your income is $4,000. Now let's compare that to what I was paying before my mortgage was $1,800. I'm still paying $1,800 a month for my mortgage. So if I'm paying $1,800 a month for my mortgage, then what am I pocketing? I'm pocketing $2,200 compared to the $200 that I was making before when it was just a single family rental. So if I'm comparing 200 to 2,000, what is that? That's 10x. That's 10x. So if you're making $200 on the left-hand side versus 2,200 on the right-hand side, you have 10x your income. And that's what blew my mind. And that's what I learned with my first property. Now that was only $500 a month. That's actually not realistic. It depends on where you live in the country, but you can charge more than $500 a month for a bed. You could charge $600. So let's say you charge $600 a month. In a lot of places, you can charge a lot more than that, but $600 a month for those same 8 beds. So now that is a gross income of $4,800. I'm still paying a mortgage of $1,800. If I'm still paying a mortgage of $1,800, now my profit is $3,000. Okay. So, and you could just play with this all day. What if it's $650? What if I'm charging $650 a month per bed for 8 beds? That's $5,200 gross income. You remember that's shared rooms in a 4-bedroom house. And then I'm paying $1,800 a month for the mortgage. So my profit is 3,400. But wait, Katrina, didn't you say we're covering the utilities? Yes, we did say we're going to cover utilities. So we still have to take into account the electric, gas, water, and internet. But even if you deduct the cost of water, gas, electric, and internet, you are still bringing in 10x the amount of just a single family rental. If you do the math, you are still coming out. And I have a whole profit calculator that I use with my coaching clients to make sure that the numbers work, because I want all of my coaching clients to bring in at least $2,000 a month per house, at least 2,000 a month per house. So we figure it out. When I opened my first house, it was huge. It had 15 beds. So it was a 7-bedroom house because it had been added on to and added on to. It was a very strange house, but it had 15 beds in the house. And I started out charging $560 a month per bed. So if you do that math, $560 a month times 15 beds, that is $8,400 a month gross. My mortgage was about $2,000. So deduct the $2,000. And then if let's take another 1,000 off for utilities, I would still be profiting $5,000 plus per month. That's on one property. Now that property was weird. That was an anomaly. That's not the norm, but that was one property, not a job. That's not on a job. That's on a one rental property. And the way I teach you how to do these things is very hands off. I teach you how to automate the process so that you're working on the business, but not in the business. And so you might be thinking to yourself right now, I don't want the headache of dealing with 15 people's problems in a house. I understand that too. And so that's why I don't want the headache. I outsource my headache. I outsource most of the work that it takes to manage this house. And I pay an operations manager to manage the day to day. And I show you in my program how to find and hire the operations manager, what his duties are, or he or she, how they get paid, and how you're still making your $2,000 a month, even if you have somebody else taking care of most of the work. So that is basically the profit potential of this group home model or co-living. There's a lot of different words for it, but some people call it house hacking. House hacking is when you actually live in the house and you rent out the other rooms. Then there's co-living, that's basically sharing a bunch of people sharing one roof who are unrelated. Then there's group homes. Sometimes group homes provide services, sometimes they don't. What I'm talking about today is independent co-living for adults. And also, I foresee a lot more working class people moving into co-living as this option and a way to reduce their living costs. So when you're marketing to working people, you could charge even more than this. You could charge more than 700, more than 800, because they might not want to share a bedroom, but they would pay $1,000 a month for a private room that includes utilities, because that's a steal depending on where you are in the country. And again, wherever you are, that's where you have to look at the market. And that's what I do with you in the program as well. We look at the market and see how much you could realistically charge for your space. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. I see questions now. Let's see. Before we jump into the questions, I will just tell you a little bit about me. So why would you even listen to me? Hi, I'm Katrina. I'm Katrina Robinson. I have a company called Roundtable Living, and I've got 3 group homes in San Antonio, Texas, while I live in Los Angeles. And just recently, I started coaching people because people started asking me for help on opening their group homes. And a lot of people were intrigued by, how do you have these group homes in Texas if you live in California? So now I have this program called Group Home on Autopilot, which is my coaching program. And I help aspiring group home operators start and run their group homes so that they can create these profitable and also purpose-driven businesses without getting so overwhelmed with the process. I just share everything that I've learned in my 5 years of running my group homes. So 5 years ago, I was looking for a side hustle that would bring me the most profit with the least amount of work. And it's not because I don't like to work. I am a workaholic. I'm used to hard work. I was in the military. I was in the Air Force for 6 years. And then I've been to war. I've been to Iraq. I've been all over the world. And I have worked for Department of Defense as a civilian. I've also worked for Department of Health and Human Services, always in management operations. So I'm very detail oriented. I like to document processes. I love processes. So that's another reason why I started teaching people on how to run their group homes from afar. So basically, I wanted to live my best life in California, kind of relax, force myself to relax, but I wanted a side hustle that was bringing in the most amount of money with the least amount of work. So I decided that I was going to learn how to do assisted living. And that's when I went to the Residential Assisted Living Academy in Arizona. And it was great. It was a great training, wonderful training. I think it was like $4,000 to go to this training. And I learned so much. But I found out there that I really needed to become certified from my state. I had to become this certified assisted living manager if I wanted to open assisted living. So I went through the certification process, and then I found a house that I was actually going to. It was a assisted living business that already existed, and the people were retiring who owned it. So I was going to buy that property from them. And then during the process of buying that property, my sister passed away, and I got custody of my two nieces. So it was just too much going on. It was too much going on at the time. And I didn't want the responsibility of having medication management and nurses on staff and a cook on staff and all of these things going on away from where I lived, because I had these new issues to deal with, family issues to deal with. So I decided, after talking to a friend who said, why don't you go into independent living? I had never heard of that before. And I was thinking unlicensed independent living. I was thinking that's illegal, but unlicensed does not equal illegal. Unlicensed just means you don't need a license to do this. So anyway, I did my research, and I figured out that I could go this route and not have these people on payroll, like a cook and a nurse and all these things. So that's how I started out. I bought this fixer-upper house in Texas. It could have been a complete tear down, but it was huge. So I cashed out my retirement so that I could renovate this house. And I held an open house event and filled up the beds. And that was the 15-bed house. And so once I opened up my first co-living house, I had this new confidence. And I was like, you know what? I don't need a retirement fund anyway, because this is my retirement. I'm betting on me, and all this. So I was just really confident. I opened up my second one, then I opened up my third one. So here we are. That's a little bit about me, and that's why you should listen to me. But let me look at these questions. So let's see. Do you ever place partitions in the rooms for privacy? That's the first question I have. No, I have not put up partitions in the room, but I'm not against putting up a partition in the room if it makes people feel better. There was one room that I was going to put up like one of those tension bars in between and maybe put up a curtain. And the reason it was going to be a curtain and not something solid was because the person still needed to be able to walk through that other side to get to the restroom. So that's why I wasn't going to put up something more solid. But yeah, I'm not against that. And even half a wall, well, half a wall would be nice right there too. But I ran it past the people who were in the house, and they would rather not have the partition up because of the sunlight. They wanted the sunlight to flow through the whole room. So that's why I didn't. But I think partitions is fine. I think that's a great idea. And also, so you can do this business. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but if you rent, you can rent a house and do this business. You do not have to own the house. But if you do own the house, you could put up walls, you can make more rooms. So if you've got a 4-bedroom house and you take the garage, like say you have a two bedroom, you have a 2-car garage. I'm thinking about bedrooms for everything. You could make that a couple of rooms right there. You might be able to make that 3 rooms right there. So You could, if you own the house, you can chop it up and make more and more rooms. Okay, so that question I answered. And let's see, how do you get people to share a room? What type of demographics are more likely to share a room? Let me tell you, I didn't think that I would be able to find people to share a room, but there are. So in San Antonio, for example, there's a huge shelter. There's a huge homeless shelter called Haven for Hope. And this is what I've heard about. I've seen it online, but I've never actually walked Haven for Hope. But I heard that it's kind of like a big, I was going to say bay, that's a military word. It's kind of like a big open auditorium looking space that has bunk beds. So if this person is living in a space where they are looking at 50 other people and they have bunk beds, they would much rather move to a space like mine where they're only looking at one other person. So the people who are there, a lot of times they do have money, they do have income because they have Social Security or something like that. But their Social Security might be $943 a month. And that, I know that number because a lot of people have that. They get $943 a month. Well, if they have $943 a month, they cannot afford their own apartment, even if it's an efficiency apartment. They can't afford their own apartment because, well, the apartment's gonna be more than 943. But even if they found a place that was like, say, 800, which they're not going to find a place that's 800, but if they did, they also have to pay for the electric, gas, water, internet. They're not going to be able to live, and food too. So that's the type of person that would be perfect for my group home because they could have a roommate, so they have a bed for $600 or $650, and I do have some shared rooms that are 700. But let's say they're in a room that's $600 a month. That includes their internet, their electric, gas. It includes all of that, and then they still have that. I'm not good at public math. What is it? $343. They still have $343 for their transportation and to eat because I don't provide food. So that's the type of person who would live in a group home. The other type of person that would be great for living in a group home is someone who has a felony conviction or is on parole. Because a lot of times, apartments discriminate against people who have felony convictions or are on parole. And so I can communicate with and market to parole officers and let them know, hey, if you have somebody who's getting out of prison and they always need an address. So if they're getting out of prison, they need an address, then they can stay with me for a few months and get themselves on their feet, get a good job, etc. And sometimes they have a little bit of money coming in from like side gigs or something like that. And that's how they can pay their rent. And so because I don't hold felony convictions against anyone, this is a great place for them to live, is someplace that doesn't hold that against them. The only type of person who I don't house is a convicted sex offender. And that's only because I have schools around the places where my houses are. So I answered that one live. Let's see. How are you finding the renters? And do you do background checks? Okay, so I for finding my renters, and I've got some videos on YouTube about this, but for finding my renters, I market to caseworkers. I market to caseworkers, and it's not just caseworkers. I have a whole list, which is in my coaching program, of all the different types of people to market to. And I have a video, so this is not something that's a secret, but something that I do that is very helpful in getting these caseworkers' contact information is I pay for a shortcut. I go to Fiverr, Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and I find someone who specializes, a freelancer, who specializes in lead generation. So type in lead generation and pay them like $100 for a list of 500 people in and around San Antonio who match this criteria. So now I've got these emails, and now I can email these people and say, hey, we've got affordable housing. And you can, if you have a list of 300 caseworkers, you're going to be able to fill 8 beds. You will be able to fill 8 beds if you have a huge list of people to market to. Okay, so answered that one. Oh, good. There's a lot of questions coming in. So they sign a lease. How long do the tenants normally occupy the space? Do you do month to month or year leases? So that's something that you can decide on. For me, I do month to month. I do month to month leases because my housing is transitional. I call it transitional housing. However, even though I have transitional housing, I have a guy who's been with me for 4 years. He's on a month to month, and he's been there for 4 years, and he said he's not going anywhere. That's wonderful. And now I appreciate the longer term renters. So I might start giving people a discount. Let's say 2026, I go up on my rents. I might tell people if you sign a year lease, then you can stay at your current rate because I like the stability of I know this guy, he's going to be in my house and for a year and I'm good on the income there versus okay, this guy says he's moving out next month. This guy says he's moving out next month. So now I have two vacancies. So now I'm marketing. I mean, I'm always marketing. That marketing is ongoing. That's what I teach you in the program as well, how to set it and forget it. Set up your marketing for a year ahead of time and schedule it out so that you're not having to market all the time. Okay, so I answered that one. All right, let me see if there's anything in that was the Zoom. Let's see if there's anything in the YouTube. For some reason, I'm not seeing the YouTube chat, Tyler. So, oh, there we go. There we go. Now it popped up. Somebody said, what are the individual source of funds to pay for their beds? Okay. I do have private pay. Some people are private pay, which means that they have a job. They might work at Burger King or something. They have a job up the street. I say Burger King because it's across the street from one of my houses. But or maybe they do little gigs here and there. But most of them are on Social Security. So they have Social Security, disability insurance, SSDI payments that come in every month, and that's how they pay their rent. You can also, and I'm going to get into that in another slide, all the different ways to get paid. Sometimes people's parents will pay for them, like say they just got out of prison or something, and their parent will co-sign the lease and make their payment for them every month. Or the person might have a slight mental disability and their parent is their power of attorney. And so the parent will make that payment again. There's different ways to get payments, but I will definitely go into that in a slide. Okay, let's see. Okay, great. Great. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all the communication and the questions and participating. Thank you for that. All right. So your why. Okay, so going back to my little story about how I started my group home and I was betting on me and all this stuff. I know that you're on this call for a reason. You're ready to bet on you too. So maybe it's because you want more money, maybe it's more time freedom or the tax benefits of having a business or the tax benefits of owning a property. Or maybe you just truly want to help people and that's great. You know, you want to provide affordable housing for people because it is a problem and it's going to continue to be a problem. Maybe you want to leave a legacy for people. Like I bought these 3 houses in Texas. When I'm gone, they're going to go to my nieces who are now my daughters, you know? So maybe you want to start this to leave a legacy for your family and change the trajectory of your family by having this income. You know, and I also want you to think, what would an extra $2,000 a month do for you? Like what would that do for you? Let's talk about your life vision. If you don't have a piece of paper out, you should grab one. Like grab a piece of paper and just think, what do you want your life to look like in a year from now? And what do you want your life to look like 3 years from now? And then 5 years from now? And how could having that extra $2,000 a month change your life? Maybe you want a housekeeper. I want a housekeeper. Maybe you want to put your kid through college, you know? How could the extra $2,000 a month? That's one house, by the way. That is one house, and you will easily have more than one house once you get through the bumps and bruises of opening that first house. You're going to be like, oh, I could do another one. I could do another one. And there are people in this industry who have like 15 of these houses, like 15 group homes. I'm happy with my little 3 right now. and I'm really having fun with coaching my clients. So that's why I'm not opening more right now, but that's something that is coming. Okay, let's see. Oh, I have more stuff coming in. Oh yeah, I see you, Miss J here. I don't want to work for anyone but myself. I completely get that. I get that. And at what point do you scale and open another home? For me, I had, and let me see, I'm sorry, I'm not saying your, yeah, I want a housekeeper and a private chef. Yes. You know what? This is a tangent. So I was thinking about like I'm tired of flying. So I was flying Delta to go and check on my houses, which was wonderful. I love Delta. I love Delta first class. But that's when I was living close to LAX airport. But then I moved. I moved all the way out to Santa Clarita. So now the closest airport is Burbank. And the easiest flight to go to San Antonio is on Southwest. And I was like, nothing against Southwest. I love Southwest. But I was like, why I want to be on a private jet. How do I do private jet without having a private jet? There's a company kind of like Uber or Lyft, but it's for private jets. It's called Jetly. It's like Jettly or something. And it's basically like a Uber, but it's private jets. I want that. That would be nice to have a private jet to go check on my houses. Anyway, that was totally a tangent, but take a minute and think about what vision you have for your life. Think about in 1 year from now, what you want your life to look like. 3 years from now, 5 years from now. This is the type of exercise I do in the mindset portion of my coaching program, which is the first module. And maybe your why, going back to this side, your why, maybe it's because you have a rental property already, but it's making that measly little $200 a month that I talked about. Well, once you see the numbers of the group home, you're like, wait a minute. Okay, let's move on. So this is what you came for. Here's what you came for. My proven system to open and operate a profitable group home. And how do I know this system works? It's because I've used this exact model to open all three of my group homes. And I'm about to, on the next slide, I'm going to show you my client, Kenya, who I don't know if she's in the room today. She did sign up to be here. I don't know if she's here, but she signed the lease on her property during week 3 or week 4 of our coaching program, which is a 6-week program. These are the 6 steps on this pyramid chart. And she signed a lease on her property during week 3 or week 4. And she had her open house during week 6 of my coaching program. And so I'm going to show you the slide that has her open house, which last time I showed this, the music didn't work, but let's see. Let's see if it works. All right. So that was Kenya, the Haven Quarters. She's in Baltimore and she does not own that house. That is a rental. So you can do this business without even owning property. You just have to find a willing landlord. And again, I show you a way to pay for a shortcut. I always show you a way to pay for a shortcut, by the way. In all 6 of my coaching modules, I tell you this is how you can do it yourself. This is how you can pay for a shortcut. So there is a company that I have in my network that solely focuses on finding landlords who are willing to work with group homes. So if you want to pay for a shortcut, that's an option. But I also give you in my program my script on what to say to landlords. So say you're in Dallas, Texas, and you want to open a group home, you do not have a property. I give you a script that you can send out to all of the Dallas landlords who you see who post their houses for rent on Zillow or wherever else. You send it to them and let them know that you will be paying on time, that you're a good renter, you take care of small maintenance issues, but you just need to have the ability to sublease the property. And so Anyway, you could find a willing landlord that way. And that's what Kenya did. She found a willing landlord. She didn't even pay for the shortcut. She did it herself. She just sent out the emails to different landlords and she found somebody who was willing to rent to her. And do you know, after her open house, week 6 of our coaching program, she had filled 5 of her 9 beds. She filled 5 of her 9 beds right away, like right off the top. Okay, I see another question coming in. Who created your website? I paid somebody, a freelancer off of Fiverr, and that's somebody who I share with my coaching clients too. So and she's very affordable, very affordable. She's in Pakistan, and I give that connect. I put my coaching clients connected to her, and she works with them and gets their site built within like 5 days, and it's very cheap. Okay, I am not seeing, for some reason, again, I'm not seeing the Q&A for the, oh, there it is. No open questions. Got it, got it, got it. Okay. Oh, there was another question. As far as your services, can you break that down a bit more? What can we guarantee? Are you able to help fill the rooms with a certain amount of days? Or within a certain amount of days, are you able to help individuals outside of Texas? How long do you provide your services? Okay, Tyra, thank you. I have not even gotten into the semi pitch yet, but so I have. I'll go into it. I'll go into the pitch later on in the slides, but it's a 6-week program. I'll tell you that it's a 6-week program. Doesn't have to be 6 weeks. It could be where we meet, and then you don't want to meet next week. You want to meet the next week. We could stretch it out if you want to, but we meet 6 times. We meet 6 times, and it's one-on-one. So I meet with you. Let's see. I'm on Fiverr now. Great. Okay. All right. Ms. J here. Yeah, I love Fiverr. I've used Fiverr for everything. I need to make a YouTube video about all the things that I've used Fiverr for. So I meet with you for 6 weeks and I go from A to Z. I go from, I don't know anything about group homes all the way to my group home is open and full. I don't fill the beds for you, but I teach you the system. I teach you the system to fill the beds. And whatever I can do to help, that's what I do to help. And I work with people all over the country. I have a lady in Sacramento. I have, she actually just moved. She moved to San Antonio because she opened her group home in San Antonio. So okay, thank you. I need to stop looking at the chat because my ADD. But I help people everywhere. Kenya's in Baltimore. I live in Los Angeles. My group homes are in San Antonio. I have somebody else I'm talking to right now who is in Dallas, who I'm probably going to be helping soon. And then I have somebody else whose house is in New York. So I help people all over the country. And I have a large network of group home operators that I also work with. So if there's a question that comes up that I don't know the answer to for some reason, I do that research and then get back to you. So it's kind of like having like a phone a friend. Remember on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You have a phone a friend. You can be like, hey, I need your help. I have this situation. What do I do? But I take you all the way from A to Z. And then also, if you already have a group home, I have clients like that who already have a group home, but they're like, teach me how to make this more efficient. We can do that too. So it's a one-on-one program and it's totally customizable to you. When we meet, I get to know you very well. We come up with a full to-do list, a checklist with estimated completion dates for everything. And we are working very closely together. That's why I don't take that many people at a time, because when I'm working with you, I'm invested in you and I'm invested in your success. I'm like, no, you got this. Let's go. If you want me to be on a call with you when we call caseworkers, I can do that too. But I just basically help you from A to Z. That's my program. Okay, let's get into the next slide, and I am going to go more into the program too. Okay, so the first step in the six steps. We're in the 6 steps to opening a group home. That's the part we're in right now. We're in the 6 steps to opening your group home. And the first step is mindset. Yes, it's woo-woo. A lot of people like, I want to just get right into the technical stuff. No, we have to have that foundation. That's why it's the bottom part of the pyramid. You need to have that foundation for your group home business, or else you will fail. So first step is to get your mind right. You need positivity, determination. You need a CEO mindset. A CEO mindset is strategic, decisive, and growth oriented. It's about using a calendar. You wouldn't believe how many people don't use a calendar. Maybe you're one of them, but it's about using a calendar. It's about outsourcing things that I don't want to do on my own. It's about finding resources and ways to get things done very quickly and very efficiently, being obsessed with your win, whatever your win is, being obsessed with that. And also thinking like, who can do that for me? Or how can I pay for a shortcut? If something needs to be done, it's going from thinking, okay, when can I do that to who can do this for me? That's the CEO mindset. It's about setting up systems, not reinventing the wheel. Like with every task I do, I'm thinking, how can I never do that again? If it's something I don't want to do, how can I never do that again? Like, how can I make it easier for me for the next time? That's the CEO mindset. And that's the first thing we talk about in my program. Okay. Oh, did I just skip? I did. I did. Okay. Number two, okay, business. This is setting up your business right. Market research, doing your the legal stuff, getting all your ducks in a row legally, you're tracking expenses, and the census, which is the people who are in the beds, your business plan. Now you don't have to set up an LLC because you're essentially just a landlord. When you're just a landlord, you don't need an LLC. But when you get an LLC, now you're legit. And I want you to be legit because when you have a legit business, now you can take advantage of tax breaks. Like you can get a lawyer to do this for you. Get a lawyer to set up your LLC for you, and that's a way to pay for a shortcut. You don't have to do it yourself. Excuse me. The biggest tax breaks come to people who have businesses, not to employees. The biggest tax breaks come to people who have businesses. In fact, that recent big beautiful bill that made even more opportunities for business owners to save on their taxes. That's why you want to go legit and have a real business and have an LLC. You do not have to though, because you're just a landlord. You're not providing any services. You're just a landlord. You don't have to, but I want you to, and I will tell you how to do all of that. Because when you set up your business, you can now, when you set it up the right way with the LLC, now you can write off your equipment, your phone, your internet, your home office, my business travel. When I travel from LA to San Antonio to check on my houses, that entire trip is a tax deduction. So I'm not a tax professional. I am not a tax professional, but I tell you everything I know about the taxes, and I can even refer you to accountants and things. Um, I I am very interested in this part, like making sure that you get your ducks in a row so that you can take advantage of everything that's out there for you. You can even deduct expenses that you're already paying for. For example, I need internet to do my business. I need internet to run my business. I have internet at my house. I already pay for internet at my house, but now it's a tax deduction because I have an LLC and I have a legit business. So now my internet is a tax deduction. The internet for the whole house is a tax deduction because I'm running my business off of that internet. So you can deduct those expenses that you're already paying for. And then you can also qualify for like 100% depreciation on certain things like computers and cars. You can access these special tax credits that are only available to business owners. So that's money right back in your pocket. But only if you know how to take advantage of it. That's the thing, only if you know how to take advantage of it. So that's what we talk about in module 2, setting up the business the right way. All right, let's go on to module 3. Module 3 is getting the house. So that's about identifying what kind of property is good for this. So I get that question a lot. And if you're taking notes, it's at least 4 bedrooms. That kind of house is good for this is at least 4 bedrooms. Excuse me. And if you own the house, like I said before, you could put a wall up and make another bedroom. Also, no carpet. So at least 4 bedrooms. If you own it, see if you can put walls up to make more bedrooms, and no carpet. And then also no homeowners association, no HOA. Who has heard of NIMBY? NIMBY, not in my backyard. That's what the HOA will say. Not in my backyard. I don't want that kind of place in my backyard. It is legal to have this kind of place. It's not illegal. It's just you don't want that fight. So if you do get that fight with a homeowners association, you will win the fight, but they'll make it really hard for you to make your life hard. And I just don't want you to deal with that. So group homes are covered by the Fair Housing Act. It's Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968 covers a lot of different groups of people. And those groups of people include race, familial status, which means that they can't say you can't have more than three unrelated people under that roof. No, that's illegal. They can't say that. Also, age. A lot of the people that you house are going to have or be older people. And then also, if they have any kind of substance abuse history or anything like that, that's covered as a disability. So that's covered as well. And you'll probably have people like that in your house. So you will win if you go to court with the HOA. I just don't want you to have to deal with that. I don't want you to have a house in a neighborhood that has a homeowners association. And then also with the getting the house part, like the type of house that's good for it, we also talk about setting up the house. Like, what do you need in the house? What kind of furniture do you need in the house? I recommend metal bed frames. That's another thing. Don't get wood bed frames, get metal bed frames. Because if for some reason maybe somebody cuckoo puts the bed outside and it gets rained on or something, you can just spray paint a metal bed frame. And then also, there are some metal bed frames on Amazon. I have a whole Amazon list that I share with my coaching clients, but there's metal bed frames that can withstand up to like 2,000 pounds. You need those kind of metal bed frames because you're going to get some people who apply to live at your house and you don't know that they are 600 pounds until they arrive and they're 600 pounds and then they're breaking the furniture. So you want to make sure that you get something that's sturdy. Also, make sure that you have the mattress protectors, the kind that the zipped up, the ones that are completely encased, zipped up mattress protectors because of pests and things. And then also house rules. So no outside furniture because outside furniture usually has bed bugs. Remember back in the day, you could get a couch from outside. I'm dating myself probably. You could get a couch from outside, be like, oh, this is a good couch. You can get, a dresser that was outside. Now everything's full of bed bugs. So no outside furniture. But we talk about that also in the setting up the house, all the house rules and things. Okay, let's move on. Let me see if there's any questions before I. Okay, nothing yet. Okay, good. All right, step 4. This is the most important step. Marketing is the most important step because if you don't fill the beds, then you don't have a business. You have to fill the beds so that you have a business, so you have income. So in module 4, I teach you about connecting with caseworkers, placement agents, and the people who need housing. We talk about like all the marketing materials, how to have a $50 open house event. I teach you that, and how to do 1 year of emails in 1 day. So I know that the people on Zoom can't type in the chat, which I don't like, but do you think, I want you to give me a yes, do you think you can find 8 people in your chosen city who are willing to share a bedroom and pay one low all-inclusive rate for their monthly rent? Do you think there are 8 people who need housing? 8 people in your city? Give me a yes. Give me a yes in the chat if you think you can find 8 people. And I know there's a delay on YouTube. You can put a yes in the Q&A if you're on Zoom, but there is a delay on YouTube. But do you think you can find 8 people? And I'm serious. Like, the answer might be no, but I'll prove you wrong. But the answer might be no. Do you think you could find 8 people who are willing to share a room? Thank you for participating with me. I am Izogi. Did I pronounce it right? I hope so. It's a beautiful photo. I am Izogi. Yeah, do you think you could find 8 people? Okay. All right. I'm going to change your mind, Darrell. I'm going to change your mind. Gretchen, thank you. That's part of the mindset, Darrell. That's part of the mindset. There are 8 people in your area. There are 8 people who need housing, and you are going to find those 8 people. And I'm going to help you find those 8 people. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, let me go to a question. Are all HOAs property pushback, or is that case by case? From what I saw on my HOA, they did not show resistance in the docs. It is case by case. So I always tell people, do not get a place that is with an HOA. And you know what? My third house, it's the smallest house, is only 3 bedroom, which I do not recommend. Get a 4 bedroom or more because the profit is tight on that 3 bedroom. But in a small 3 bedroom house, they're all private rooms. But anyway, that house is actually in an HOA, and I didn't even realize it was because they call it a voluntary HOA, which is laughable, I guess. It's $35 a year for that HOA. And I'm like, for $35 a year, what are y'all doing? You're not really maintaining anything. You're not doing anything. And they have not given me any problems. And they know that it is a group home. They've been over to the house. They know it's a group home. They haven't given me any problems at all. And it's in an HOA. So yeah, to answer your question, it is on a case by case. If it's the usual HOA that's all in your business, they're gonna give you a problem. Okay, let me see if there was anything else I didn't answer. Do, 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 do. Okay, that's right. That's right. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right, no more. Okay, marketing, marketing, marketing. So what else did I want to say about marketing? So we've covered 4 of the 6 steps. It is 5 o'clock here on the best coast. It's 5 o'clock. So we've been on for an hour. I do have a little bit more. I have to do step 5 and step 6. I did plan this I think I planned it for 2 hours, but last time I did this was about an hour and a half. So I do have a little bit more to go over. We've covered 4 of the 6 steps. And I'm explaining at a very like surface level right now, but it's enough. What I'm teaching you is enough to start your group home. You don't need me to start your group home. You just need to take these steps to start your group home. What I do though is hold your hand and walk you through it. So I know that somebody in here wants to dive deeper because somebody did ask a question about what I provide in my coaching program. So before we move on to the last 2 steps of the system, is it okay if I take a couple of minutes to share how I serve people on a deeper level? Put a yes in the chat. Give me permission to just show you. I have a couple of slides to show you how I help people on a deeper level and how I can work with you in getting your group home started in 6 weeks. In 6 weeks. Okay, just give me this. Thank you. Thank you. I got the permission. Thank you. So let's move on. Okay, so this is my group home on autopilot startup intensive. And this may not be for everybody. This is not for everybody on the call, but it might be perfect for somebody on the call. So that's why I want to go into what I provide. Wouldn't all this be easier if you had a mentor, if you had checklists, if you had templates, somebody to hold your hand and also hold you accountable, somebody who's been there, done that, and still doing it? That's me. I want you to imagine 6 weeks from now, you have a property business that is profiting you money, that is bringing you money into your pocket, into your household every month in 6 weeks. This business not only gives you money in your household, but also helps people. You're helping people with affordable housing and you're helping the affordable housing crisis that the US is in. And you're going to have more time and more energy for the things that matter most to you. Somebody put in the chat, I don't want to work for anybody else but me. I feel the same way. I feel the same way. So if you want to fire your day job, I will help you fire your day job. If you love your day job, keep it. Keep your day job. I'm not against that. But I want you to have a profitable property business. So my coaching program is Group Home on Autopilot Startup Intensive. And it is designed to change your life, basically, and change the lives of others in only 6 weeks. So here's my invitation. My invitation is to book a call with me to hear more about it if you're interested. Book a call. And I need to put in the chat how to book a call with me. Tyler, can you put it's actually I had it coming up on a slide, the link for the sales call. If you if you can, sir, I don't know if Minister Tyler is still on the call. If you could put it in the chat, put that in there. So I basically help people open their business in 6 weeks because you need a blueprint. You need a system, strategy, structure, accountability. Most of all, you need accountability. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little stat. The American Society of Training and Development did a study. They said if you write down your goal privately and you don't mention it to anyone, you are not likely to reach your goal. Not likely to reach your goal. But when you announce your goal to a coach or to a trusted friend, you are 65% more likely to achieve that goal. 65% more likely. Now, listen to this part. When you give a weekly progress report to a coach, you are 95% more likely to achieve your goal. 95% more likely to achieve your goal when you have to give a weekly progress report to your coach. That's me. I'm that coach. I'm that coach because once we get together and come up with your list, your to-do list, every week I'm gonna be like, hey, what did you do? What did you do? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Izogi, did you do what you said you were going to do? You said you were going to do X, Y, Z. I need to see X, Y, and Z. So what you get in the program is you get the startup workbook with all of, it's like 80 pages long, but it's all everything. It's all your templates, checklists, scripts. You get personalized accountability and feedback and strategy, direct access to someone who's launched multiple group homes. You get your custom master to-do list built around your timeline and your goals. And you get lifetime access to the Group Home on Autopilot course, which is video modules. So I started out just doing one-on-ones with people. And then I was like, you know what? I'm kind of saying the same thing over and over. So I recorded video modules, which you can watch on your time. You can review it whenever you want to. You can go back and watch it for a lifetime if you want. And then during our calls, we can focus on the one-on-one back and forth coaching, because you've got the video modules that you have access to that you can watch at any time. And then you just have access to me for the 6 weeks. So do you think it would benefit you to have a customized checklist with exactly how you open your profitable group home in 6 weeks? If I taught you how you could profit $2,000 a month for the rest of your life or however long you have your group home open, how much would that be worth to you? How much would that be worth to you if I am going to teach you how to make $2,000 a month for the rest of your life? How much should that cost? It could be a rhetorical question. It could be a real question. I don't even know. You can put it in the chat if you want, but I guarantee you it's not going to be that cost because I have not raised my prices yet. So anyway, who is my program for? Just hop on a call with me to see how you can read the slide yourself, but see how I can help you make that money in 6 weeks. And my calendar is up to date. So if you use the link, it's Calendly is a weird word, but calendly.com/ this is a long link. I didn't realize it was that long. Katrina E. Robinson / sales call. Slots are open. So it says slots are open for the next 3 days. You could make it for next week if you want. I'm actually not available this weekend, but my calendar's up to date. So if you look on there, find yourself a time and hop on a call with me. Okay, so let's go to these false beliefs. Okay, false beliefs and how group home on autopilot solves it. So I need to own a house. You don't have to have a house. Do you think every doctor who works out of an office building owns that building? No, she doesn't own that building. She just works out of there. So you don't have to own the house. You can find a willing landlord, just like my client Kenya found a willing landlord and she opened her house and she's already making money on her house. And like I said, in my network, I have this business that specializes in finding these willing landlords for you. So you don't even have to do it on your own. And I have a client who used that service and she is furnishing her house right now as we speak, Janice. Okay, homeless people don't have income. That's not true because they get Social Security a lot of times, or they get VA money if they're a veteran. They just don't have enough to have their own place. And also more like just working class people are considering co-living as well. So most of my residents are on Social Security and other types of welfare. Okay, running a group home will be full time. No, I had a full time job until last month. I had a full time job and I still had my three group homes. So you don't need to have all this time to work on it. And the way I teach it is I want you to focus on efficiencies and working on the business, not in the business. So I teach you how to do these shortcuts and get everything running like this well-oiled machine. I won't be able to fill the beds. So that sounded like Darrell, who was saying, I can't find 8 people. I teach you how to fill the beds. I teach you how to fill the beds. My client Kenya filled 5 of her 9 beds in 1 week. So we're done with all that. That was my little pitch. Book a call if you want to talk more. Here's the link to book a call. Boom, right there. And it's also in the chat on YouTube and it is in the chat on Zoom. So there's the book a call. Okay, now let's get back into the masterclass. Let me just double check, make sure there's no questions. No questions, no questions. Uh-oh, I think I just, okay, no, I got that one. Okay, okay, good. I can't wait to start with you, Zoe. I can't wait. All right, let's get back into it. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're on step 5 now. So we talked about mindset. We talked about setting up the business. Then we talked about setting up the house, getting the house. We talked about marketing. But what about the day to day? I got you. Okay, that's operations. That is module 5. That's the intake process, the agreement, the house rules, and then common challenges. And also setting expectations around behavior in the house and ways to collect the rent. Okay, so somebody asked a question about collecting the rent and private pay and things like that. So there are different ways that you can that people pay, and you don't have to accept all of them. And there are different levels of risk. So this is not actually in the slides, but I'll just tell you this. So the biggest risk, the biggest level of risk is private pay. That means that the person who's renting the bed from you is responsible for paying you every month for their bed. That's private pay. So this is just somebody off the street who maybe you did do. Oh, somebody asked me about background checks, which I did not even answer. I didn't do background checks before, but once I hired an operations manager, he has property management experience and he already has access to a background check service. So he does background checks. However, we don't hold any backgrounds against anyone. Only if they're a registered sex offender, then they cannot live with us because I have schools around. But if they have felony convictions or whatever, we just want to see what we're dealing with. He wants to see what he's dealing with. So that's why he does the background check. But we don't hold that against anyone. So yes, we do background checks now, not because I want to, it's because the person who I hired as my operations manager does background checks and he pays for that service himself. Okay, looks like I lost connectivity. Can anybody hear me now? Can anybody hear me? Is anybody? Okay, good. I got a thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. I got to share the slides again. For some reason, it just Booted me. It booted me. All right. It looks like I'm back live on YouTube as well. Okay, so we were talking about the ways to collect the rent, how risky it is, the different levels of risk. So first is private pay. That's the most risky. Next is family member pays. So if a family member pays, it's less risky than private pay, but it's still, oh, okay. Okay, there we go. There's a little delay on YouTube, so it looks like I'm not there anymore. Okay, so a family member pays. What I want you to do is get the family member to also sign the lease. Get the family member to co-sign the lease. If the family member is going to pay, get them to co-sign the lease because the family member does not want an eviction on their record. The person who you house might not care if they have an eviction on their record, but the family member does not want an eviction on their record. So get them to pay as well. I mean, to sign the lease as well. And they're making the payment to you. Also encourage them to sign up for auto pay, which I use a system called Rent Ready. That is my tenant management system. And I tell the family member to go ahead and sign up for auto pay. Okay, so we talked about private pay, family member pays. Next up, that's less risky than the family member paying is representative payee. Representative payee. You can, let me see, can I chat? Anyway, I want to put it in the chat. Representative payee. If you have a representative payee, that means that the person who is renting a room from you has to go through this reputable company that becomes their representative payee. That payee company collects their money for them. So the Social Security money goes straight to the rep payee. The rep payee then gives the person who's renting the bed, gives them their allowance, and they pay you. The representative payee pays you, not the person. The representative payee pays you. So that's less risky. Okay, so you guys are tracking private pay, family member pays, representative payee pays. Next up, less risky than that is you become the representative payee. That's something that because I've had a day job up until now, that I was not interested in doing because when you become the representative payee, now you have to do some paperwork with the Social Security office. And you also have to do, I think it's quarterly reporting to the Social Security office of how much money you've received, how much you gave to the person, blah, blah, blah. But it's less risky because now you're getting that person's money directly. You're getting that person's money and you're responsible for paying their rent to your company and also giving them their allowance. So that's you becoming the representative payee. Then the least risky is getting paid directly from a sponsoring organization. So there are organizations, usually nonprofit organizations, that get grant money from the federal government or from the state. They get this grant money to help certain types of people, certain demographics of people, to help them pay for their housing, people who are housing insecure. Those companies, those organizations will usually write you a check for like 6 months up front, or they will write you a check every month for a year. It depends on what kind of money they have. So that's the least risky. I don't have anyone right now with that, but when I first opened my 15-bed house, I did have 2 people that a sponsoring organization was paying for, and that was great. That was wonderful. It was dependable. Sometimes they take a long time because of all their paperwork and stuff, but once they get through their paperwork, boom, they just give you a check for like 6 months in advance. So it's great. So again, you choose what kind of payments you will accept. Maybe you don't want to accept cash. Maybe you don't want to accept checks. Maybe you don't want to accept money orders and you only want to accept direct deposit through auto pay. It's you make that decision. But in my coaching program, I walk you through all the different options. And then I also talk about, the house rules and just the day-to-day operations. So a way to pay for a shortcut, again, my coaching program, because I've already documented all the operations. I've documented everything, the intake questionnaire, the lease, house signs, signs to go up in different areas of the house. I've done all of that. It's all documented and it all comes with my coaching program. So now you've got the house open, you filled the beds, you're pocketing the money every month. So now what? We need to turn this into a well-oiled machine. We need to get to the apex of this pyramid, which is the autopilot part. And this is what makes group home on autopilot different from every other group home training that's out there, because I teach you how to scale this and how to make it efficient and run. So once you get through, like I said before, like all those hard knocks of getting your first house open and that learning curve of getting your first house open, you're going to fill that house and then you're going to be ready for your next house. But how do you do that? How do you do that remotely? You hire another you. So I teach you how to find your operations manager, how to pay them, how to train them. I teach you everything about how to get an operations manager and basically duplicate yourself. I teach you how to clone yourself so that you have somebody who's boots on the ground, and then you have you. You're the one who's the strategic planner, and you're opening houses left and right, and you have people who are running these houses for you. So, toolkit. I give you a full list of all the tools I use to run my group homes, and how to make this a really easy side hustle. I talk to you about what weekly actions you take and what monthly actions you take, your CEO hour, which I have a video on YouTube, like what to do during your CEO hour. Every Monday, I spend 1 hour on this business. And then throughout the week, I might spend 30 minutes, So I teach you all of that, how to hire that operations manager, and also how to handle your accounting in a very systemized way that makes things easy. Whew. Okay, so I've covered all the steps to take you from A to Z, from zero to $2,000 a month, and how to open your own profitable group home. Who has gotten something out of the masterclass? I want one person to tell me something, one thing that you got out of the masterclass, and then I will go to Q&A. Give me something. Tell me something good. Tell me something you got out of this. Tell me something. Talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. Okay, I'm looking at the chat. I know there's a delay though. And hopefully I haven't been talking to myself for these past couple slides, because my thing did boot me at one point. Okay. Maybe nobody can hear me, but just in case you can, I will keep talking. So I'm gonna run back through the actually, let me just show you this. This is the book a call link. If you want to book a call to talk about how I can help you. Oh, okay, good. Thank you. Somebody said motivation to get started. Yes. Thank you, Izogi. Just do it. You don't need the one-on-one coaching to do it. You can just do it. You can just take what you learned today and do it. It's just everything's easier when you have somebody else. When you have somebody else who's doing it with you, it's easier. All right, so I am going to leave you with, so I used to think, people say knowledge is what? Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, but it's really knowledge plus action. Knowledge plus action equals the power. I used to just think if I had the knowledge, I could do it. And then after stumbling for a while, I paid for a coach. I did pay for a coach, and that was a great idea. The only problem was that coach had never opened a group home before. So when you go pros ask who, not how. Like, who can help me do this? And you need the right person to help you do this. You need somebody who's been there, done that, and still doing it, still running my group homes to coach you through this, because execution beats knowledge every day of the week. And information alone is not enough. So if you want to go faster and further, you need a coach who's been there and who's done that, and somebody to help you to execute, because you could collect all this knowledge, soak it all in, but never move. You got to move. You got to move. You got to make that move, that motivation. You need to move forward so that you can execute, so you can start bringing money into your household. That's what I want for you. Okay, so I am officially done. with this presentation. But if you have a question, please throw it in the chat. Thank you. It definitely requires a mentor to be successful. Yeah, you need a mentor. I'm still here with you. Think back to that vision you have for your life 1 year, 3 year, 5 years from now. I want to help you get there. So if you're still in class with me right now, then something is resonating with you. I know something's resonating with you if you're still here on with me. So go ahead and book that call. Let me see if anybody is. Let me just stop the presentation actually and see who's still here, if anybody's still here. All right. If you're still here, okay, Darrell, you're here. Thank you. Um, so what questions do you have? If you don't have questions, thank you. Thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate that. Have a great evening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great evening. I hope you got something out of it. Book a call with me if you're so inclined. I will be back here live next week, Thursday. Have a great night. If you're still here, oh, did I miss the cost? Somebody said, did I miss the cost? I told y'all I was not going to do a hard sell. I told you I was not going to do a hard sell. I just want you to book call. So I don't usually tell the price on here, but since you asked, it's not a secret. My program is $4,500. It's $4,500. You will make that back. You will make that back very quickly with what I teach you. Okay, I'm looking at my other screen here. All right, Gretchen, you're welcome. You are welcome. Thank you, Izogi, for attending. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the interaction. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gretchen. All right, who's still on the YouTube? Let's see. Oh, it's 3 people. Okay, cool. All right, let me just see if there's anything else, or else I'm gonna end this. Bye, Gretchen. Talk to you soon. Okay, chat. All right, I'm gonna end it now. Bye, guys.